Welcome to another edition of Len's Burning Bush. I am Len Harvey. Before I bring on my guest for the week, I want to talk about what's really burning my bush. So everyone is familiar with the group text and reply all emails by now, I'm sure, and certainly it is much easier to communicate with a large group when you do this, but definitely there are some annoying points to it. And because of this, the way I felt, I figured I had to, kind of look it up and see if I was the only one who didn't like having your phone blow up all day long with likes, dislikes, comments, calls, all day long, just kind of blowing up your phone. So I also want to get your opinion as well. So send me a note on Facebook at Len's Burning Bush or on Twitter at Len's Burning Bush and let me know. I found this article written by Maria Del Russo back in 2019 on the lily.com. That's LILY.com. And in the article, so this is interesting, she says, somewhere along the way, group messaging has transformed into anxiety-fueling Frankensteins. So she's like me, where she's comfortable with getting the information of a party, a night out, if you've got to say, hey, be here at 7 o'clock with multiple people. But she later says that she thinks that text message group threads should die a quick and painful death. Now, that's a little extreme. She says they're pretty much everything I hate about the digital age wrapped up into one perfectly complete package. They are completely unnecessary form of hyperconnection. Now, Maria does go a little overboard, but she is right. We take a wonderful method of communication, and of course, we go way too far. We just include too many people who want to now get involved in the conversation. Now, the sweet spot may be 3 to 5 people, and after that, it becomes an utter mess. The same goes for the old way of communicating via email. And people can't figure out how to just reply to one person. They have to reply all. If you want to talk to that person, send them a separate message. We don't need to see all of that information. Stop the madness. Texting is supposed to be a shorter, easier way to communicate and doesn't need to be a thread from 2 weeks ago still going on and buzzing your phone every few seconds, especially when you're working. Of course, everybody feels compelled to view it and realize how much nonsense it may or may not be. So today, on Len's Burning Bush, this is what I do. I'm going to teach you a little bit here how to get rid of the actual notifications, which the notification part is the biggest problem, right? You actually want to read the info later, but you don't want to keep getting the notifications, which I'm sure what irks everyone, the buzzing of your phone and constant messages going off. So here's what you do. You open your SMS, that's SMS, messaging app, and open the group message you want to mute. Go to the menu and press Group Details. Then you look for notifications and you just toggle them off. Now, you can breathe again and you can go back to work and not be bothered and read it later. Maybe we really need to go back to the more old school way where we used to have a party line. Of course, I'm giving up my age here, on the phone, and it actually answered the phone. That might be less stressful. Let's see about that. With that being said, it's time to bring on my guest for the week. She is an Emmy-nominated anchor who appears on WLWT News 5 TV in Cincinnati, Ohio. Let's welcome the very talented and Sheree Paolello. Fun size, right, Sheree? Is that kind of what we call
Yes.
it?
Yes.
You are.
Think I'm short.
No.
Or you're petite. I'm fun size, and I like to think I'm fun too.
Well, exactly, and that's kind of the reason I wanted to have you on, because I know you're fun, and it always seems like when you're on the air, you just protrude fun, even when you're reading the news stories, right? It's all fun.
And gloom, right? I remember I had a viewer one time say to me, "It seems like you never smile," and I said, "Well, it's hard to smile when you're talking about shootings and fires and car crashes."
Yeah, a 57-year-old man died today, and you got a smile on your face. You can't do that.
Right.
That's exactly it.
Right.
So
We try to find those moments, with weather and sports and that sort of thing. And you know what? I hope that people like that I'm okay making fun of myself. Self-deprecation is a good thing sometimes.
Absolutely. So what do you think about these group texts? I mean, I'm sure you get tons of them, right?
It's almost as if you and I strategized and talked about what we talked about, but we didn't. You came up with this and I said, absolutely, I can weigh in on this. Because, okay, so you might not know this about me and a lot of your listeners, but I'm one of 10. So I'm the oldest of 10 siblings. And so we have a family group thread that it makes me crazy because inadvertently somebody sends out a message, whether it's my dad or my stepmom, saying, hey, we're going to have a cookout Sunday, and every single one of my siblings doesn't just say, hey, I'm in, or I can't, we've got plans. We're an Italian family, so, and everybody likes to jab at each other. My brothers, I'm the oldest, but I still get picked on. And so it's like it just is this ripple effect of everybody making jabs and making fun of people. And so I just do exactly what you said. I end up having to hide the whole thing because I'll come back, I'll be on the air, and I'll look down at my phone and I'll have like 48 messages. It's insane.
It is. And that's kind of, I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that. I have good friends that to this minute I'm getting a group text. And they're it's like going on about a pizza place, and I love them to death, and I love the pizza place that they're talking about is where we grew up. But I mean, there's 100 of them, and then what will happen is it'll go on for it'll be later today. There'll be 60 messages, and you're part of this. Stop the insanity, right? I know it's a great way to communicate.
Some text messaging etiquette,
yeah.
Right? Like there's wedding etiquette, and I don't know, like when you're sending out invitations or whatever, there's etiquette. But when you're on a group thread, and I'm with you, and then it will continue sometimes for weeks because somebody will want to chime in about something else that came up, and you're like, what are they talking about now? And it starts all over again.
Oh, I know. And I get, I do the same thing. We all hit the, Apple really screwed things up when they came up with the like and you can react to the text.
Yeah.
So everybody does that now. And it's really, you look at these threads and they're like, pages and pages and pages. And you're like, oh my God, for the love of God, just stop, yeah, right? I mean,
the email, the reply all, in the news business, you know how it is. Yeah. I'm sure it's in the field too, where, you get something from the news director or, one of the producers, and everybody has to chime in on it. And we also work on this app called Teams now that we're doing lots of, the Zoom meetings and all of that. The same thing starts happening. And unfortunately for us, once COVID happened and we haven't been seeing each other face to face as much, we're starting to slowly, ease back into some of that. But we still do these group meetings and we have these group texts. So if, we get alerted to any type of news that's going on, and it's really important stuff, but because then people start to joke around on it or add in 5 other little factoids about a story that we're working on, I've now muted that too. Oh. Because I can't keep up with it, and I'm probably missing something important. But
we take it.
I'm a risk I'm willing to take.
We take it to the extreme, and that's what I'm saying. And last week, you talked about Microsoft Teams. I did an episode last week where you're constantly trying to figure out the damn audio. You're like, are you on mute? Get off mute.
Yeah, I know. I cannot wait to go back to just jabbing each other and talking face to face. Yeah.
Whoever thought you'd want to sit there in a news director meeting, and those meetings you fall asleep. At least now you could kind of put yourself up on the video and just kind of like put an old clip of yourself up and then just go to sleep in the background, right?
Oh, you can tell he's not really for that though. He'll sort of he'll go, hey Sheree, how's it going, you there, so you've got to put yourself on video.
Oh, I know. Yeah. It's crazy, the video, and enough already. I mean, I know you're in the TV business, but it seems like there are times when you don't want to be on video, right? This is why you and I are talking without the video. Well, we're seeing each other, but we're not recording the video.
I'm not all glam, am I? Definitely not.
I still think you look fabulous, but it doesn't, it's like we're both kind of, in a ball cap here because it's the way we want to be on a Saturday morning.
Thank goodness this isn't in person because I reek. Because I got to this is the life of a mom, right? You get up, you're, like trying to cram as many things in during the day. So I quick him and I was like, okay, it's 10:45. I've got to be back home by 11 to do this interview. So I am still sweaty and gross, but I feel better about myself, Len. So that's a good thing.
Well, good. And it's not smell-o-vision, so we don't have to worry, right? I mean, I'm not saying I was in the shower yet either, by the way. So we're all good.
I wish that you had that this was going to be a video clip instead of just the audio, because especially for the women out there, there is so much pressure for us to look great and always seem like we have to, be perfect and have our makeup on and that sort of thing. Like nothing, you're burning bush. One of my, things that really is when I'm at the gym and I see somebody with makeup on. Like it really, like I actually roll my eyes at them, which is so not right. But it's like it's just so much pressure. I think, especially for women, to always look perfect. So I like to say, hey, I'm a hot mess most of the time.
Well,
I'm not on the news.
We all are, and I think you're right. I had Tanya Memi on a couple of weeks ago. She talked about the same thing, and it's like, I just don't understand. You have male anchors that look one way, but women have to just, always, you have to have your hair perfect, and and then there'll be someone, I'm sure you get this, the hateful comments, like if you have a dress on they don't like or whatever. It's awful, right?
Just recently, okay, so when we had the Capitol riots back in January, just a few weeks ago, we were being attacked because the media, of course, we're an easy target, and rightfully so. Believe me, I get mad too at the national media and some of the opinions that I hear from journalists that should be objective. But so I had put out a social media post for one of our reporters because we knew that there were people up there who were local who went up there thinking it was just going to be a rally and support for the President Trump, and then all of a sudden the riots broke out, and there were literally hundreds of thousands of people there. So I put out a message, hey, if you know anybody who was up there, we would like to talk with them. Well, you get it from both sides. You get the people like, oh my God, you're a Trump lover. I can't believe you're going to, interview these terrorists, that sort of thing. And then you get other people who say, we're the liberal media. So, I was under fire that night for putting out that post. And I stand by it because, look, I don't agree with a whole lot of stuff we cover and what goes on in the news, but it's my job to report it, right? Yeah. It's not my job to. So I'm taking it from both sides. I go on the news that night at 11 o'clock. And by the time I get off, I get a message, an email from a woman who says, oh my God, can you please wear stockings? Your legs look awful.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, you can't win,
Oh my goodness. That is just awful. I don't understand why people feel the need. Why can't you be nice? Like I always follow a bunch of people. I talk about, Maureen McCormick. Like I get a tweet back from her and I get like all excited because it's like, it's Marsha Brady, right? You're doing it and hopefully she'll be on the show one of these days. We'll get her on. But I just find it interesting. Why would I want to be hateful? Like what makes that? I don't understand. Why do people feel the need? If you have nothing, I always was taught that if you have nothing nice to say, then don't say anything at all.
Yeah, and I don't know where we lost that. I think social media certainly has fueled that fire of anonymity, and people feel like they can be mean. But the funny thing is a lot of people who are really very opinionated and hateful. They've got their name out there, their picture out there, and sometimes I'll call them on it like, I'll make sure that I'm not going to your business anymore, and I'll call them out on their business. It's like they think I can't look on their profile and see where they work. I don't know why it has to be that way. Look, I'm like you. It's not like we're immune to it. I've done this. I've been in this business for a very, very long time. And it's funny. You can have 100 great things said to you where people are like, I love you. I love your show. And you guys are like family. And then you get that one really mean comment, it's, you don't get it. And I often think, gosh, I watch a lot of national news media. I follow certain people on social media, and I definitely don't agree with everything that they do and say, but I'm not going to attack them. I might just not follow them anymore. Like, for instance, from all of my social media pages, for the most part, are work related. I put fun stuff out there about my personal life because like I said, I like women to feel like I'm just like them. I'm out and I'm a crazy mom and that sort of thing. But my son was like, Mom, you have to be on Instagram. You have to be on Instagram. So I get on there and I really use that to follow a lot of the celebrities I like, that people maybe that, Jennifer Aniston or women that I kind of admire. And it's funny how it turns me off where I'll say, gosh, maybe I love her music, but I'm not, that she's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Right. Or she's too political for me. I want to love her music. I don't want to hear her political views, right?
Well, agreed. And I think, that's where people get upset. I remember when it came out, the Dixie Chicks were the first, where they kind of dissed President Bush, right? Back in the day. And that was, you can't do that. Now it's like, everybody does it. Yeah. It's just, I think, we want to hear you sing. I don't want to hear political things. And I guess, and now the big thing too with sports, there are some people in the sports business that feel like they need, or athletes need to come out and support things and do a little bit more. And some people don't feel that way, right? I think you should
I
have your
know.
right to do both.
And I get it. I get that they feel like, look, I'm so blessed. I have this platform. I should do more than just throw a football or, play basketball, whatever it is. I mean, to each their own. It's
Yeah.
like, you just have to realize, it's just like me. If I come out there with a really strong opinion about something, and this is what we talk with our reporters, maybe younger reporters about, because they grew up in this era of social media and giving opinions and that sort of thing. And what Mike and I often will remind people is that you're alienating half your audience, because while you may believe that, I mean, look at how the last election went. It was almost 50-50,
Yeah.
So you have to realize you're going to alienate half those people who like you.
Yeah, it's not good. I think, I want to go back to the days when we didn't talk about religion and politics, and it's
or
just
or
yeah.
or your income, right?
Yeah.
You bring that up, Lynn. My dad. So my dad works for a local company, and my grandfather and uncles worked there, Cincinnati Mining Machinery. My dad worked his way up as a kid, and he's now the general manager of the company. And at one point, I was one of the secretaries, and I was terrible, by the way. My dad, I would be like, please fire me. I just want to quit. And he wouldn't let me quit. Anyway, I digress. But I remember the very first time I voted, I come, be bopping on into work that day. And I was like, who did you vote for? And my dad was like, oh, don't you ever ask anybody that, and he cut me off, and he was very upset with me. Like I had crossed the line with other, coworkers there, and I'm young, 18. And I remember that night he reminded me, you never talk about politics, and you don't ask somebody how much they make. And I think often now, where did we go awry with that?
We went
I do, events for, kids, like career day. And it's the first question that the kids will ask me, how much do I make? So I guess we've lost that too.
Oh, I think you're right. And you just say $1 more than I made last year, right? Is that how it works?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it can vary depending on which city you work in.
I know people don't understand that. Like I was in the radio business in New York, and then I was in the radio business in Cincinnati, and of course, in New York is a lot different, and pay wise too. It can be right because obviously Cincinnati. I mean, I think it's market 36 now, 35. I don't remember what the number is, but around there. But New York's number one, and it's hard when you go from number one. But Cincinnati is such a lovely place to be, and you chose to be in Cincinnati because you started out, you thought you wanted to go into New York and all these big cities, right? On your bio, you talk about how it's just coming home is wonderful. So not only are you home, but then you meet your husband on the air, right? How great is it to actually have your husband right next to you? Although I will say that if my wife and I ever worked together, we'd probably kill each other. So how in the world can you make this work?
It's a blessing and a curse. Look, we just talked to some friends about it last night. Thank goodness we are such good friends. And the blessing about it is, for instance, we got called into work last Sunday because of the Golden Globes. Our boss realized we knew it's usually a very highly rated show. And I think he was trying to be nice and wasn't wanting us to have to work on a Sunday night. And then he was like, okay, I'm sorry, you guys just have to do it. We're in ratings. We need to make sure we solidify being number one.
Yes, the sweep. Yeah, you got to get that in there.
So that's a blessing because, both of us had been married before, and it's really hard on the other person where they're thinking, what do you mean you're going to cut into our weekend again? Or, there's been some big shooting and you get called into work on a Saturday morning. I mean, that stinks for your spouse. And most people, if they're not in this business, they really don't get it, right? When the election was still unsettled, and then all of a sudden on a Saturday, we knew that Biden had gotten enough votes and they were declaring him, the winner, our boss. And we thought it was going to happen. And our boss said, look, I'm watching all the networks. You guys, I'm sorry, I have to bring you in tonight. And so that's really hard, I think, on most people's spouses if they don't get this business. However, So Mike and I we're such good partners that way, and we really are. Like, we've been best buddies forever. But there are days, I'm a woman, right?
Yeah.
And I admit, I let things, if my kids aren't good, I'm not good. I get stressed out. And I let stupid little things get to me. And Mike is so just kind of easygoing. And so Monday night we had like a huge fight before the 11 o'clock news. I was like, don't even talk to me in the commercial break. I'm mad at you today.
Talk to the hand. Talk to the hand.
I'm an actress because I can turn it on for the news, and then in the commercial break I'm like mad. I'm giving him the hand.
That's awesome, because you look at that and you see you guys on TV, and obviously you get along so well. It's a great newscast. You guys, again, number one, at 5:30, 6, and 11, right? Is that
number one at 6 and 11, and I think second at 5. Yeah. So okay. Mike and I do 11. So it's look, this is what I always say to people. This is a really great news market. I mean, sadly, we have a lot of big stories, national stories that get national attention that happen in Cincinnati. But on top of that, all these stations are very competitive. I have friends at the competition, so I never want to say, oh, we're number one, or we beat this station or that station. I'm proud that, because when I came back home to Cincinnati, we were the dog. I mean, we were third or fourth in every show. We really had fallen. Unfortunately, there had been a lot of turnover. We went through a lot of male anchors and female anchors after Norma Rashid left, and Charlie, and so it was a building block. And thankfully for me, because, I came back here from Charlotte, North Carolina. I thought I was going to be here for 2 years for a contract. And then I wanted to go to Chicago or New York. And luckily, because of an opportunity, they put me on, I think the weekend show, and then quickly the 5 o'clock show. And it was funny, Len. I remember my dad. So my dad raised me, and he's brutally honest. And being a reporter is really different than being an anchor. When you're a reporter, you're out there, you're covering one story, you're talking to people, you can sort of be yourself. But when you're anchoring, you're covering, 50 different stories. You've got to know a little bit about a lot of things. Sometimes the prompter goes down, sometimes there's breaking news. Anyway, my dad calls me after one show that I did, and he's like, can you read? I counted 8 mistakes the first 5 minutes. And so pretty terrible, I think, at anchoring in the beginning. But Channel 5 took a chance on me, and luckily it's paid off.
Well, yeah. We're lucky for it to watch you on TV, because we're glad that you're here. It's wonderful, and you and Mike do a great job. And it's kind of like on the radio with Married with Microphones, right, on WGR. You guys are,
love them.
Yeah, you guys are.
They told us they do not drive to work together. Like, they need their time. They know that that they get on each other's nerves. And Mike and I do usually drive to work together, and so that can make for a tense situation if we're annoyed with each other on the drive home.
Well, because it's like the scene from Seinfeld with Kramer. It's like you wake up in the morning, there she is. You get on the ride together, there you are, and then it's like you can't talk about how was your day, because you kind of know what your day was like. You're like,
oh, I know. I sat next to you the whole day. No, look, there are those days where we get on each other's nerves, but I think luckily, because we have so much in common. I mean, we're so passionate about this crazy job, and we talk a lot about news and politics. Mike's much more political than I am, so I like to say he teaches me things all the time, because honestly, I don't care as much as he does about that sort of. He kind of goes at it with viewers, on social media, who question us about stuff, where I'm like, I don't really care.
You just made me think of something, and maybe we could put this into another show. I thought of, do you remember, and again, I'm a little older, so there was a show with Bert Convy back in the day called Tattletales. And the husband and the wife would participate, and the husband would wear the headphones, and the wife would they'd ask the questions, and then they'd have to get it right. So yes. So I think we need to do that. I need to have Mike on, and let's see if and let's see if he agrees with all the things you're saying.
Yeah. We're pretty. I mean, I think we know each other pretty well since we, live together, raise kids together, everything, work together. But I feel really lucky. Like I said, this is a a crazy business, and you need somebody who's supportive. And he's kind of my biggest cheerleader, and I think I'm his, although we are super competitive. So we have like this little pact. Last year I was really honored. I won for best news anchor, right? And you compete against Indianapolis, Columbus, I think Dayton, Cincinnati, and there's some great anchors, people that, gosh, were mentors to me that I was able to win last year. But somebody said to me, how did Mike feel about you beating him? And I said, I didn't let him apply. So
There was.
he's applying. He knows, like, if he beat me, I'd be all mad.
That's awesome. That's now. Where do you put your Emmy? Is it like displayed, kind of the Edward R. Murrow Award? Is that displayed anywhere?
Yeah, it's in a box in our unfinished basement.
We,
I know. I don't know. We both have talked about it because Mike has won, Emmys before with sports, and we both have won with, newscasts and stuff and stories we've covered, that I'm honored. I mean, believe me, I'm so honored, because I often say, like, these aren't just stories we cover. Like, in fact, 2 years ago, I won for a military story I did, and it was a man who had ALS, and he a veteran, and he died like waiting for the basic supplies, right? And his wife was so kind to talk to me about, oh my gosh, she was so emotional. She fought for over a year to get him, like a wheelchair, and just very like basic things that this poor man would like drag himself up the stairs because his legs were failing. And I won, and I gave that Emmy to his widow.
Oh, okay.
But it is one of those things where you're so proud of the stories you've done, or the coverage you did, but it also seems so like, do you really want to have friends over with all these Emmys out? Like, that seems kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, I would have them all out. I'm sorry.
I know. I'm such a like West Side girl. I don't know. I feel self-serving or something.
And that's why everybody likes you. You're very humble, and that's, I think, why it's not having the Emmys out. I can understand that. It's
plus teenagers, they would probably break them
yeah.
with their friends.
Exactly. That wouldn't be it. So we're going to skip. We're going to go a little bit different route now. We're going to talk about a movie that is already out, and it's Coming to America 2. Which just came out last night. Now, I'm not hearing good things about Coming to America 2. The first one was incredible, I thought. Eddie Murphy, yes. Yeah. So,
and this new good, huh?
Not so good, what I'm hearing. Now, of course, you need to watch it on Amazon Prime. One of the good things, though, I don't know if you remember this, but in the movie, there was a scene where they bring out Randy Jackson with sexual chocolate. And apparently Sexual Chocolate is going to be in the sequel. So if you haven't seen it yet, I don't want to give any, I haven't seen it yet, so I'm going to hope to watch. But I remember, that boy is good. Randy Jackson, Sexual Chocolate. Yeah. Do you remember that?
Yes, I love it.
Yeah. And speaking of Eddie
Gosh,
Murphy.
it's been so long I saw that.
Oh, I love that movie because it's like there's a lot of good lines in the movie, but that boy is good, with that, and it was really interesting because in that movie, I don't know if you remember, but one of the guys from ER, he later played, I can't remember his name, it's going off the top of my head, but he was in that movie. It was one of his first movies before he later went on to ER. Big Doctor on ER was in that movie as well, and I'll think of it later, I'm sure.
Or I'd help you out. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, it's
Eric
something or other. Eric, can't think of his name. But anyway, he was in the movie Coming to America. And Coming to America 2 is on Amazon Prime, which is kind of interesting how movies are now going to the streaming services first now. Like Wonder Woman was on HBO Max, and now we're seeing, because people can't go to the movies. I still like going to the movies. Do you like going to the movies?
Oh, I love going to the movies, and I miss it. We've not been, because really a lot hasn't been in the movies in a while, any good ones that we've been wanting to see. But I love watching movies. I feel like it's a way to detach. It's usually like our Sunday thing. If my boys are maybe with their dad, or, sometimes my little guys will, go see some Avenger movie or whatever. We'll go and see a drama, but yeah, I love going to see movies.
Yeah, I do too.
And now I'm a Netflix addict. So, when we get home from work, it's 12:15, 12:30, and you can't just wind down. Even though I have to get up early with my boys in the morning for school, you're sort of geeked up. So Mike and I, we just finished a Netflix Imposters. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's really good. It's great character acting, and I definitely love dramas. Like my oldest son always gets mad at me. He's like, dude, what's your deal? Like you cover all this bad stuff and then you come home and watch bad stuff. But I do love, like, there's a Manhunt series. It's a kind of like a docu-series about Eric Rudolph and Ted Kaczynski. And I love that kind of stuff where it takes you back to real life issues and drama that was going on, and you kind of learn a little bit. And of course, some of it's embellished, but I still love those things.
Yeah, I'm more of a, I like a lot of the comedy stuff, but I do watch some of the drama. Obviously, you watch Breaking Bad and all these other shows that are kind of, yeah.
We have a total crush on Bryan Cranston.
Oh, you do? Look at this. Does Mike know this?
I do. Oh, he knows. He
all
knows.
Right.
He got COVID a couple of months ago. I had already had it, and he's not a guy who ever really slows down, right? So, and it knocked him out. He was just very lethargic, and I was like, okay, just relax and just watch Breaking Bad. I've already seen it, so we rewatched it, and I definitely have a crush on him.
Well, there you go. Look at that, a crush on Brian. There's a lot. Like, I watched Wonder Woman and the new Gal Gadot, but I was always a big fan of Linda Carter back in the day.
Yeah.
So
she was hot, right?
Yeah, I mean, come on. I always said, she came on later in the 80s. She's been like a bit actor everywhere since Wonder Woman. But one of the things I remember, and there was these late night commercials, she was selling contact lenses for some company, I can't remember, but she comes on, she's got the baby blues in the eyes. And I said to my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, I said, I think Linda would sell a hell of a lot more contact lenses if she put the Wonder Woman costume on.
Yes. I mean, that body was amazing. And it got sort of skimpier and skimpier as the years went on.
Exactly. They always try to do that. It's funny, back in the 60s, my Dream of Genie, they wouldn't even show her belly button. And then it was like, belly button. Come on. Now now you can't even watch TV at 8 o'clock with your kids. I mean, I know. The stuff that was on, even Big Bang Theory was filthy. I mean, you couldn't watch that with your kids. I mean, although my daughter, as she got older, we let her watch that, but she loves it. But it was just so much innuendo, so much stuff that you really.
Yeah, I have a 10-year-old, and he's the baby of now, 5, and he's already super sassy. I mean, he's definitely probably like going to be the most successful of all of our kids, because he's, just old before his time, I guess. But he's very, he definitely can appreciate a pretty woman. Like, when was it 2 years ago when J-Lo and who was it, the Latin singer who's so Shakira?
Yeah.
Was like glued to the television watching them, like they're hot.
It's funny that you mentioned J-Lo. I actually have a piece that I wanted to bring to get your opinion on. So this is kind of interesting. Okay. J-Lo has come out now with rhinestone heels. So I want you to get the pair of these, because I think you might like these. She was showing off a pair in the brand new spring campaign. These heels are called Tory Sandal and are exclusively sold at DSW, which we have a DSW in Crestview Hills, right? So go over there, and of course you got to bring your wallet, because these shoes are not cheap. They are $80 a pair, which is not.
That's not too bad.
But it's J-Lo. I mean, just interesting. J-Lo. So
she is smoking hot, right? Yep. Like, I think as a woman, you just can so appreciate her, because here she is, 51, and her body's amazing.
Probably older, by the way. Probably older. Come on.
What? Do you think so?
Oh, yeah.
Is she older?
Yeah, I think so. A couple of years. She's probably closer to 53, 54. But again, I don't know that for sure, but I'm almost positive.
I mean, my gosh. So, even more to my point, here she is, in her 50s. It's like Christy Brinkley and them. Like, what do they do? This mirror, and their skin's amazing.
Sheree.
I guess, and by the way, I need, how I am with my heels. Unless I'm working out, I have to have heels, or I look like a sixth grader.
And here's the deal, Sheree. You brought up a point about J-Lo and Christy Brinkley. One of the things they all have in common, They have their personal trainer. So we need to get a GoFundMe together, get your personal trainer, and then we can have you have the same. Now, you look terrific now, so adding the personal trainer would just make it a little bit easier for you. Somebody to cook for you, you know.
I always say that, our team, if I was, wealthy, I would even skip the trainer. It's just, I'd like somebody to cook for me.
Yeah.
Because I always go awry, right? Like, I'll get my butt to the gym, I'll work out, I can motivate myself. But then, you're racing around. I mean, who has time to make, like, I don't know, avocado salads and stuff, or whatever the heck they eat?
I don't even know what an avocado salad is. I think that, it's funny because people give things up for Lent. I think they should give salad up for Lent because that would be, easy.
Yeah, I definitely am. The reason I work out is because I like to eat like a trucker.
Yeah, I like it. I like that idea. And I think that life is too short. We need to eat dessert first. They always say save room for dessert. Why? Save room for salad. That's what you're going to learn on Len's Burning Bush today. Save room for salad.
That's Mike's philosophy.
Yeah.
He eats, if we go, if we get a nice dinner, or,
I'm losing you a little bit, Sheree. There we go. We're gonna say that again. We lost you for a second.
So that's definitely Mike's philosophy. If we go out to a nice dinner, he'll eat the steak and his potato and everything first, and then he'll eat his salad last.
Yep. That's what we do because you want to save room for the salad because you know what? If you find something that you like better, you can leave the salad and you wouldn't feel bad about not finishing the salad, right? The big cheesecake, I would feel bad, like if I didn't finish that.
100%. Oh, I'm definitely a dessert girl.
Exactly. Well, good news. Eddie Murphy is going to be back doing stand-up at some point. He would have been doing it sooner, but apparently the COVID stopped him, but he's going to be back. I hope he comes to Cincinnati because he was tremendous. The Goonie Goo Goo Mobile and everything else from the original Delirious and Raw. You got to watch those. Those were tremendous. But the ice cream, I don't know if you remember, I had some ice cream. You can't afford it.
I love it.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So Eddie Murphy back doing stand-up. I think that's terrific.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Originally he was going to do what he had talked about was he was originally going to do Saturday Night Live. He was going to do Dolomite, I guess, was the other movie he was working on, and then Coming to America 2, and then do the stand-up. But because of COVID, he hasn't been able to. And one of the things that people don't realize with stand-up comedy, because even Jerry Seinfeld talked about this, is that he goes on the road for like a year before and writes like stuff and then performs at some of the comedy clubs to get the act just right. So they practice it, right?
I'm fascinated by it. I don't know how they do that, but I'm not funny at all.
No, well, so, I disagree. I think you are funny, and it's just been a pleasure having you on today. I think we could go on and on about this all day. We will get Mike on with the Tattletales, and we'll try to figure out.
He'd love it. Hey, he's out from the kitchen. I'm in.
Oh, awesome. I love it. I really appreciate you coming on. It's been a pleasure. Now you can like Len's Burning Bush on Facebook at Len's Burning Bush. Follow on Twitter at Len's Burning Bush. Listen on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, iHeartRadio. You tune in Alexa. You can even ask Alexa, Sheree, to play Len's Burning Bush. So it's pretty easy to do. Although make sure you say Len's Burning Bush podcast because something else comes up sometimes when you don't do that.
Thanks for the warning.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it's not bad, but it's something. I think it's a religious program or something that comes up when you do it. So make sure it's Len's Burning Bush podcast on Amazon Music, and now it's on Stitcher. Half these things I don't even know what the heck they are, but. But they end up there. We've had people that download every week in the UK, in Ireland, in Germany, Switzerland, Norway, France. Some people think that this is good. Well, good for them. I'm glad that they think this is good. But thank you, Sheree. It has been a pleasure to do this, and I'd love to have you back on again, and we can talk more because we ran out of time, and we've got another hour we could do.
I love it. You're so easy to talk with. So yes, anytime.
I appreciate that. Thanks to Sheree Paolello. I'm Len Harvey. We'll be back with another episode of Len's Burning Bush next week. So long.